We are a family of 9. We sat down, and when I say sat down, I asked everyone around dinner one night, what do you guys like to eat, and what would you like to see me cook in this new year? And I got out my notebook, and as they were just flying out ideas, I started writing it down. Also, I'm hearing people say, I love this, and someone saying, no, I don't like that. So I'm getting kind of a feel for, if I make a meal, what kind of percentage am I looking at for people loving it?
I'm not going to eat when this spaghetti.
Oh, yeah, you are.
No, no. Yeah, I'm not. Good.
I am Danielle, mom of 7. Welcome to my channel. Truth be told about meal planning is anything you can do to take some of the uncertainty out of your day is helping to create a less stress environment or a less underlying stress environment for you, the mom, me, the mom. So even though I have a hard time staying consistent with my meal plans, I know that it is better. I'm going to tell you some of the systems I have used in the past, and I rotate in and out, okay? The more organized you can get as a mom and as a homemaker, the more time you can spend doing the things that really matter to you. I want to make meal plans that are simple and doable for the family. Nothing too elaborate. Also, I've said before, the palates of the kids, they're not super gourmet. So I started out with getting a list from my family on what kind of meals they love, what kind of meals they like to see. So going off that list, I then created a 2-week rotation. Here are my tips. Don't lock yourself into a daily meal plan, but plan for the entire week. So let's say you have 5 meals on your weekly plan. Then on Monday, depending on your schedule, you can choose which one best suits the day. On Tuesday, just depending, what if you decided to take the kids to the park and you wanted to do a crock pot and you had a crock pot, but that was Thursday. Instead, you do it on Tuesday. So that's just a recommendation I have. Shop for the whole week, but don't lock yourself into a day. I have these laminated sheets. I don't know if you can see them. I'll show them to you. But it has Monday through Saturday on it, and it has breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I can just pull one of these out, put it on the fridge, and say, okay, kids, if you're wondering what's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, here it is. So I have, I think, this is week 2 and week 1. I think I have 4 weeks of these. There's just a handy thing for me to have. So if I want to look through it and say, you know, I think I'll do this week, kind of takes the burden off of meal planning for that week. Number 2, have a running list in your planner or your journal of everything your family likes to eat. Winter, we like to do a lot of chilies and stews and soups. Don't get so stressed about your meal planning that it takes all the pleasure out of these actually fun things that we get to do. I say that because I try to look at all the tasks that I have to do as a mom in that perspective, in that light that, you know, there's a certain pleasure and there's a certain fun out of planning these things, thinking about my kids, thinking about my husband, thinking about what I'd like to see our family doing. I'd like to see our family sitting down to a meal, enjoying it. I'd like to see us laughing together. Oftentimes there's just a lot of wildness and chatter and reprimanding, but also it's a big family feel and there's a certain specialness about it. Something I recommend is a book. Most of you probably have this, but it's just one where you write the recipes in. So if I read a recipe out of a magazine, and I can just cut it out and just actually tape it in on one of these pages. So I have done that a lot of times. I just tape it in there. And then I have tried and true recipes in this book. I also have a bunch that I haven't taped in that are just loose here, obviously. I'm gonna give you a couple meals that we like to cook. I take a lot of liberties with these meals. You can really put whatever vegetables you want. So I use what I have on hand. Sometimes I peel the potatoes and sometimes I just leave the skins on. If I have Parmesan cheese, I'll sprinkle that on the top, but tonight we were just using cheddar. Even though cooking with children under feet is something I have just had to learn how to do, I do have a rule that when I'm cooking, my children have to stay on the other side of the island, unless they're actively helping. With this goulash, sometimes I use sausage, sometimes I use ground beef and add spices to it, sometimes just plain ground beef.
add whatever vegetables you have on hand or whatever you like, and then just make a spaghetti sauce. It's funny, my kids really aren't fond of spaghetti, but if I call it goulash and use a different noodle, they are just fine with it. Stir fry is just a great way to get a lot of vegetables, and once again, you can take a lot of liberties with it. Just use what you have. Even though I try to shop for the week's worth of recipes, I often will go a couple weeks, which means that at the end of those couple weeks, I'm seriously scrounging for something to make with the ingredients I have. So even though meal planning frees up some of my mental headspace, I also have to realize that it's okay for things not to be perfect all the time. And I'll probably have meals that flop, but we'll still sit down as a family and laugh about ridiculous things. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Please subscribe. I'll see you next time.
Is there anything worse than poop?
Just eat it. Just chew it.
I watched the children was bigger. I was like,
Just eat it.